Okay, I call this work session to order. Will you all stand and join me for a moment of silence? I'll ask Councilman Vickers to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Danielle, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Dolphmeyer.
Here.
Mr. Vickers.
here.
Ms. Lillard. Mr. Shiro.
Here.
Mr. Pettit.
Here.
Mr. Sowers. Mr. Webb.
Here.
All right, thank you, Danielle. All right, do we have any additions to or deletions from the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move to add item 5E, Code Amendment, Chapter 2-59, Remote Attendance, to the agenda. Further request to move item 5E to the first item for consideration before the public hearing to allow council members to participate remotely.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Danielle?
Mr. Shiro.
Yes.
Mr. Pettit.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Vickers.
Yes.
Now we need to welcome Joey, or Stephanie.
We need to adopt it.
Well, we haven't adopted it.
We need to approve this first, right?
Oh, I thought we'd done it both together, okay. Is there another motion?
Yeah, I move that
Okay.
the town council adopt the code amendment to Town Code Chapter 2-59 to establish the requirements for remote attendance and participation at town council meetings.
I'll second.
Discussion? Danielle?
Mr. Pettit.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Vickers.
Yes.
Mr. Shiro.
Yes.
All right, Steve, as an update now, we don't have either one?
No, sir. Unfortunately, neither Councilman Sowers nor Councilman Willard were able to join us.
Okay, we'll just leave this. All right. I guess we're ready for the public hearings. All right, as some of you may know, I am a member of the Board of Directors for Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative, which has a principal office located at 180 Oakwood Drive in Mount Crawford, Virginia, and has submitted an application for a special use permit for consideration by Town Council. Based upon the recommendation of our town attorney, I am disqualifying myself from participating in the public hearing, council discussion, and any subsequent vote on SVEC's application in accordance with Section 2.2-3112A of Virginia State and Local Government Conflict of Interest Act. The Vice Mayor will act as the presiding officer during those portions of the meeting.
Oh, I'm fine right here. Okay, our first public hearing is the SUP 2103 for 2 Mechanic Street. Steve, would you like to provide
Nobody
background?
has signed up.
Yes, sir. We've received a request from Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative to construct a storage building at 2 Mechanic Street, tax map number 42A4-7-D-1. This site is located within the light industrial zoning district, which necessitates a special use permit be issued for any new construction in that district. Construction is also proposed within the existing AE flood zone. The SVEC has proposed to address any of the flood issues with the design so that it does not present any issues within the floodplain. Planning Commission did conduct a public hearing for the special use permit at their September 15th meeting and recommended approval by a vote of 6-1.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment on this application for a special use permit? No one? Okay. Council members, you have any? Well, I guess I'll close the public hearing then. Any comments from the council members?
Well, we talked about it. It looks like it makes good sense, the use of their property. I can make a motion if you want.
I would entertain a motion, Mr. Vickers.
Move the town council approves the special use permit to construct that 45 by 75-foot storage building at Mechanic Street in the light industrial M1 zoning district and the AE flood zone as presented.
Second.
Motion made and second. Danielle?
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Gyro?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Okay,
Back to me.
back to you, sir.
Thank you, Jerry. Excellent job.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Mr. Burke.
Yes, sir. Second public hearing for council's consideration this evening is the rezoning of 4 parcels associated with the Luray Landing development. Those parcels are 42A 17-1-10, 11, 12, and 13. The request is to rezone these parcels from business to the planned neighborhood development district zoning designation so that they can be reincorporated into the Luray Landing planned neighborhood development. The Planning Commission conducted their public hearing of this request at their September 15th meeting and unanimously recommended approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burke. All right, I'll open the public hearing on the amendment to the conditional zoning for Luray Landing. No one signed up to speak. Does anyone here want to speak? Anyone present? Council, any comments?
Steve, you, is the amended agreement that was passed out?
This is for the next.
Next one, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir. This is simply the rezoning.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
this is the reason. Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion. There's no other discussion. I move that town council approve the rezoning of parcels 42A 17-1-10, 11, 12, and 13 for business B1 to planned neighborhood development and reincorporate the lots into the Luray Landing planned neighborhood development as presented.
I'll second that.
Council, any discussion? Danielle?
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Gyro?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Burke?
Yes, sir. Your final public hearing for this evening is again a request from Baker Development Partnership to amend the conditional zoning previously adopted for the Luray Landing planned neighborhood development. The amended developers agreement will establish payment of $100,000 towards a water tank on property donated to the town to replace the 12-inch water line as included in the original agreement. Establish payment of $300,000 towards construction of a sanitary sewer lift station at a lot to be donated to the town. Payments will be prorated per lot as each zoning permit is issued. The design and construction of all stormwater facilities will be per Page County's code. This will eliminate off-site street improvements that had been previously completed by the developer and will eliminate the town's option to purchase property that the town has already purchased.
Okay, no one has signed up to speak. Does anyone here want to speak on this rezoning request? Council, any discussion?
I see the change now, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, we've discussed this quite a bit, so.
Need a motion then?
I'll move the town council. I'm
Have I
sorry.
closed the public hearing?
Closed it.
Oh, okay. All right. Any other discussion before I close the public?
Just one thing, I think we're at the right spot, but I cannot find it here. I was looking at it earlier when we first received this. The wording in the change that was in red, the boxed red area,
Yeah, you got it in front of you there, Jason.
there's a typo in the, go ahead on page two. It's simply, just wanted to make note that, doubled there, all parties agreed that a memorandum, just that there's, just the correction needed.
Are we adjourned?
Sorry. I can't figure this thing out.
That's all I have.
I'm sorry, Jason. Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, any more discussion? Any comments? Any thoughts? Okay, if not, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move the town council approve and accept the amendment to the conditional zoning for the Luray Landing planned neighborhood development as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, Danielle?
Yes.
Mr. Gyro?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Burke?
First non-public hearing related item for council's consideration is identification and recommendation for appointment to the Page County Economic Development Authority as the town's representative, with their term expiring January 31st, 2023, sorry.
Council?
Yes, I have, I know at our last regular meeting, we spoke about trying to come up with some ideas or whatnot, and I had, made contact with Meredith Dees, our former LDI director, and asked her if she would consider this. She has given it thought and consideration, and, reached back to me earlier this week, that she would be interested in that. I can tell you through my years of working with her on LDI, very motivated individual, does a wonderful job, absolutely has Luray, the best interest of Luray at heart. And I'd make that motion, that we consider appointing Meredith Dees as our representative for the EDA for the town of Luray.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Be a great choice.
It should be wonderful.
I'm happy she's
I
agreed to
agree
do
with-
it.
I agree with all of you. Danielle?
Mr. Gyro?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Burke?
Next item is simply a discussion for council to discuss who the representative for the October 7th joint meeting would be. The meeting is currently scheduled for 3 p.m. at the Hawksbill Recreational Center, the upstairs in Stanley.
Tell me, are these gonna be quarterly meetings or?
That's the
Okay.
intent, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, what was that again, on October 7th?
October 7th, yes, sir.
Okay, 3 o'clock.
3 p.m., yes, sir.
Steve, you plan to go?
Yes, sir.
I plan to go. Do we have a volunteer or someone? that
I
wants to
can't,
go?
I can't go.
That's a Thursday, right?
It's
Yes,
a-
sir.
I can't, I'm not back here.
We're actually meeting at 12:30,
Yes, sir.
so yeah, I could go to it. What is a joint meeting of? What-
Basically, the towns of Stanley, Shenandoah, and Luray.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll
be
go, okay.
representatives from Page
Yeah,
County.
remember, Megan, we just discussed on getting it down to a smaller group.
That's right. Okay, yeah, well, I'll go. 3 o'clock.
That was easy. Okay. All right, Mr. Burke?
Next item for council's consideration is a proposed advertising opportunity within the Page Valley News. On their website, there's a few options that are available that council had discussed at your August 24th meeting. Funds for this were not included in the FY22 budget, so if council desires to pursue advertising, staff would recommend utilization of the ARPA revenue recovery funds as the source of revenue for this advertisement.
All right, Council?
I think it would be a good idea in light of some of the diminishing marketing that the chamber's gonna have available to it. I think it would be a good presence for us to be
Well, I agree
included in
with
this.
that.
In all Luray news, it would be, so if you open up a Luray article.
Yeah.
Well, we have someone here who can probably answer any questions that we might have. Randy, you want to say anything?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, absolutely. I do have a handout, Mr. Mayor, if I'm allowed to approach the bench or hand this out, is that okay?
Great. Yeah. You may approach him.
You can come up here and sit, you can come up here and sit if you want to,
Yeah,
Randy.
yeah, we got a couple empty seats tonight.
I'm just going to go through this real quick, since I got a handout. This is something that I sent. Oh, first of all, thank you, Council, Mr. Mayor, for letting us come here tonight and talk to you about this. And before I start my comments, I do want to send along from both Jim and myself our deepest condolences to the mayor. For your father, certainly a great man and made a huge, huge impact on this community, and it is a great loss. I did want to go over this real quick. This gives you an idea of some of our numbers that we're looking at that we have. General rule of thumb, now you're going to notice that my averages are going to be a little down, but I cheat a little bit, and I say that, Sunday's a day when I don't work, I don't post, and those numbers are always down the weekend, because I still try to work kind of a normal schedule. Of course, the news is not a normal schedule, but generally speaking. So if you were to take out Sundays, generally we tell folks that we get about 1,000 users a day and about 2,000 page views per day, and on average, that's about right. That's where we are right now. You can look at where we were the last 7 days, the month of September, which still has a few days left, and the month of August in comparison, and the numbers we've totaled since launching on February 3rd of 2020. And I got to be honest, those numbers at the bottom have exceeded my expectations. I did not think it would be, I underestimated the reach of the web, to be quite honest with you. And when we launched this thing, we came out of the gate. Of course, we launched on February 3rd, and on March 12th, everything shut down. And at that time, we were posting daily updates of the COVID situation because no one knew what it was, what was going to happen, how it would affect us, and we were posting every day. And I can go back to my numbers from, our first couple of months, and we were doing almost 100,000 page views for those first few months, where people were coming on every day and checking that. We fluctuated since then, but we average 50 to 60,000 page views a month. And for those of you who may not know the difference between these users are actual unique users. Now, I access the site by my phone, my mobile phone, and on my laptop. So that actually counts as 2 users because it's 2 IP addresses. I'm still one person, but so you can calculate that a little bit into there. But it's been amazing, the reach. I went on there one day playing with Google Analytics and got it to show me a map of the globe. And we've had hits on the website from every part of the earth except for Antarctica and parts of the Sahara Desert in Africa. And I think other than that, we've just about had a hit
See if we
from.
can't bump that up, Randy.
Is he-
Now, why in the world
Get a lot of
someone
people
from, Southeast Asia or Africa would want to come on Page Valley News? I don't know. Maybe they made an accident, they typed the wrong thing in and all. But according to Google Analytics, we've had hits from all over the world. When the first COVID case hit on March 31st of 2020, we had thousands of hits, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 hits on that story, and at least one hit from every state in the continental United States. So, and this is, and I see this as just the beginning. I look at it as to where are we going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and I don't plan on giving this up. This is what I do. It's all I really know how to do, all I've ever done since I was about 19, for either broadcast or print. And so we're not going anywhere. We are locally owned. I think that's important, with outside ownership of some other local media entities that is changing the way things are done. But we are locally owned. We're invested in the community. We believe in it. And those 2 things that I have listed there, talking about under advertising opportunities there, the first thing, if you decide to go through with this, I want you to think it's a good service. I want you to think it's a good marketing opportunity for the town, and I can promise you for any other opportunities, if you get a billboard, if you go to TV3, you go to print media, you go to any other groups, I think we're going to give you as many eyes on your ad as you can get for the price that we offer. Now, if you want to spend a whole lot of money, sure, you could go to and do some great big things, but for the price we offer, our rates, I think we're the best buy. And the second part there, I think, is important too, about supporting local media, because of the comment that was made earlier by Councilman Shiro. And if you looked at an information pyramid, like the food pyramid, print media has always been the foundation of that. When you look at broadcast and other media, they'll say, well, according to an article and so, according to such and such this report, and it'll be a newspaper that they're referring to. Well, that's quickly shifting. And you're going to even see laws like Virginia's laws about public notices, I believe, is going to shift in the next few years. Last 15 years in General Assembly, there's been a bill about public notices every year, and the gap is getting closer and closer to the tipping point of where they can no longer argue that not everyone has access to broadband because of what the county just done. Supposedly in 2 or 3 years, everyone's going to have access to broadband. So that argument's out the window. And then while some daily print media still has good circulation within their communities, even smaller markets like Harrisonburg or bigger markets like Richmond, when you get down to rural markets and what's happening, how can you tell me, and this is what I have said to both Mark Obenshane and to both Todd Gilbert, how can you argue to me that the print newspaper that might have 1,000 circulation and and I can draw examples from other part of the state, not talking about just Page County, but a rural paper that has maybe 1,000 copies going out, or maybe gets shut down, versus an online website there that gets 1,000 or 2,000, or in some cases over in Fauquier 5,000 or more, maybe a hits a day, and then you're going to try to get that public notice to the most people. How is it that the law still requires a print mandate? It has to be a paper of record, you have to be in print, and to print public notices, you have to be in print. And that has been a big argument of the Virginia Press Association, which is almost all newspapers. That's been one of their big arguments because they know what it would mean financially to the industry. Of course, local governments have been arguing for a long time, why can't we just put our public notices on our own website? Well, I think it'll get there eventually, because you'll still have requirements and people can still check and make sure it's posted and it's posted properly and written correctly and it's got the right date and the right time and all that. But I think there will be an interim period where they'll allow digital media to still be sort of the watcher of the gate, so to speak, to make sure you guys are putting out the notices you should. It still kind of goes through a media outlet. So I expect that to change in the next few years, where you could start putting those online. So there's a lot of things changing. Reading habits have changed. We're getting a bigger audience every week. I'm seeing the numbers grow a little bit here and there. Where no one used to post a job on there, now there's some jobs posted on there. People are starting to discover it. I mean, we've only been going a little over a year and a half, and we really, to be quite honest, haven't done a lot of promotion or marketing. And so when we get to the point where we start doing, I think it's just going to continue to grow. So it's something to consider. And again, I want you to get it because you think it's a good service and it's going to do you good, not for any other reason outside of that. But I do think there are some, non-tangible things there that are pretty important to the community as a whole as well. I'll answer any questions about readership, numbers, anything else that you may have. And thanks again for the opportunity for allowing us
Thank you.
to
Randy,
speak.
and everybody else probably knows, but what's the difference between a user and a session and a page view?
Okay, yeah, I think I started trying to tell you that, and I got off on a tangent as I often do. I started off in broadcasting, so I'm good at getting
Wow,
the
you're still in
gab.
broadcasting. The dream. We got part of the dream team here. You want me to call Travis?
Right. That's one of our new services, and to play off of that just for a second, I mean, right now, I'm constantly in the feeling like we're not doing enough, but I think we're going to build and grow over time, and I see a future with podcasts in it. I see a future where we do some videos and things like that. So I see more and more things happening with the site. But to answer your question, like I said, unique visitor is, like I said, one IP address. So I use two different devices. Technically, I'm two users. Then every time I go and visit the site, that's a session, I think it's listed as session on here, or a
Doesn't matter
visit.
how long you are on?
No, that's just clicking on the site.
1 second.
Clicking on the site. Then page views is how many literally So if I'm one user and I went to the site 3 times during the day, that's 3
Sessions.
visits or sessions. And if I went to 5 pages every time, that's 15 page views.
Got it.
That's how that works.
Thank you.
And we're averaging, 2 or 3 page views a user and a couple of sessions per user and that kind of thing. So we're getting folks who check it and they check it again. And we're getting a lot of folks from outside the area, people who used to live here, interested in Luray, who come back to visit family and such. We've got, coaches from other teams that are checking out the team that played, or we got folks who are planning a vacation here. So there's a lot of outside traffic, obviously, as well as I think we've got a pretty solid local base of several thousand readers as well. So
So it sounds like page views are people that read the articles, and sessions are people that look at the pictures. Well, it sounds like.
could be, yeah.
Well, if you doubled in 3 years or quadrupled, what's that look like? Is it more employees, or is it just more news and more things in the county?
There's not a direct correlation between traffic and dollars, although I wish there was. But you would think that one would follow the other. So the first thing that I'm looking to do is probably hire freelance help.